What is up and what is going on, everybody? It's Matt here at Matt's Great World, and today is finally the day where we are going to theorize what is going to happen in each of the 9 episodes of Season 6 of The Dragon Prince based on the episode titles. And this is a video that I have been really excited to make, and I've been telling you guys about for quite a while, and I know all of you who have been watching me over the last few weeks have been very patiently anticipating this video, so thank you so much for your patience. I appreciate it so much. But it's here now, so let's not waste any more time and get straight into it. All right. So the first episode of Season 6 of The Dragon Prince, the opening act, if you will, is called Star Touched. And this episode title, it gets me really excited, but it also has me kind of puzzled, because I'm not exactly sure what will happen here. Now, I know that this episode has been shown off to audiences who have gone to see the cast and crew of The Dragon Prince at Comic-Cons and stuff, and there have been leaks and other stuff like that. I've stayed away from that. So, I know that there is more information on this episode out there. I just have actively stayed away from it, and I hope you guys have done the same. But anyway, I, for a while there, didn't really know what to think about this episode. However, after thinking about it for quite a long time, I think this is going to be the episode where we finally learn more about Erebos and how he got to where he's at, how he got in prison. Well, maybe not necessarily how he got in prison, but I think that would be kind of cool to learn too. But more importantly, why did he get in prison, This whole arc that we're on with the Dragon Prince is called The Mystery of Erebos for a reason. And, we don't know a lot about him. We don't know exactly what he did to get to where he's at. So I think this episode, we're going to get a lot of things cleared up, which is going to set the mood, and it's going to set the precedent throughout the entire episode and season, not only that, I think we're also going to see Claudia probably go through a lot of trauma in this episode as well, because, she lost her leg fighting Callum and the gang in the Sea of the Cast Out in the finale of Season 5, and she also thinks Viren is dead, which, at this point, jury's still out on whether or not he actually is alive or dead, but we'll kind of talk more about that later. But in other words, based on the clip that we got from the teaser trailer way back in November, I think we're going to start to see the start of her descent into darkness in this episode. We're going to see her start to spiral out of control and just become an absolute psycho. There is no going back for Claudia at this point. At least I think. It's just plain and simple. And of course, the seeds are going to be planted for what our heroes are going to end up doing throughout the rest of the season, but I think this is going to be a very antagonist-centered episode. I think we're going to see a lot of Eros, we're going to see a lot of Claudia and Terry, and of course we'll see Callum, Rayla, and everyone else, but there's going to be a big emphasis on Erebos and Claudia. So the second episode in Season 6 of The Dragon Prince is called Love, War, and Mushrooms, and I actually correctly guessed the title of this episode. I never made any comments anywhere, so don't go looking for them, because I never made them. But I made the prediction in my mind, and I got it right, so I'm going to toot my own horn here. But anyway, I think there's going to be a lot going on in this episode, like a lot. There's going to be a lot of things teased, both good and bad. First of which being Raylan. I think we're going to start to see hints of them kind of rekindling things, even more than they've already done. In Season 5, we saw a lot of moments with Callum and Rayla. The stargazing clip, which we've reacted to right here on the channel. I'll put that somewhere on the screen. And of course, also the scene in episode 5 of season 5 called The Great Bookery, where they were kind of getting closed in by all those corrupted Banthers, and they kind of shared a moment together where Callum was like, I was kind of mad for too long. There's so much I want to say, but I just can't say it all right now. And they held hands, and Rayla was like, I know, and all that other stuff, which was made me lose my mind. So we've had moments like that, but I think now they're going to actively, do everything they can to try and spend time together. I think that's something we're going to see a lot in this season. And I think that this is the episode where Callum and Rayla set out on their journey to the Star Scraper, because based on a lot of the promotional material that we've seen, Callum and Rayla are going to go on a solo quest to get to the Star Scraper, find the Noah Blade, and whatever else they may need to take on Erebos and save the world. So I think this is the episode where that quest starts. And like I said, I think this is where because of that journey and the fact that they're going to be together, just the two of them on this trip, I think this is where we're going to see them mend their relationship on that journey. Obviously not in this episode, but over the course of the season. It'll start off kind of slow. I mean, we just can't have them make up right away and, be back together like straight away. I'm like, let's build this up here. But the second thing that I can see happening in this episode is that tension will build between the Sunfire Elves and as Kareem prepares his forces and also prepares to restore Sol Ragam's eyesight with the Sunseed that he stole back in season 5, which is going to be hella terrifying. It's gonna be dramatic. It's gonna be heavy. And I don't even know what else Kareem has got on his mind beyond just getting Sol Ragam back on his feet. And then waging war on his people. Just gives me chills thinking about it. Whew. But the third and final thing about this episode is, honestly, the episode title kind of says it all. Love, war, and mushrooms. We've talked about love. We've talked about war. Now we got to talk about mushrooms. And no, I'm not talking about what you might think. I'm talking about the Mushroom Mage and Zubeia. They kind of left Zubeia's fate kind of open-ended at the end of season 5. And I know all of us Dragon Prince fans are getting kind of worried. We're like, what's going to happen to our girl? We can't have the Dragon Queen dying off. We can't have Zim's mom dying, which could happen. We'll talk more about that later as well. But at this point, we just gotta have a chance to check up on Zubeia in some form or fashion and see how well she is. Either she's gonna be great and everything's gonna be just great for the rest of the season, or things are not gonna be so great. And I'm hoping it's the former. And honestly, if you thought that Zubeia had it rough last season, oh boy, we're gonna be in for a roller coaster this season. It's going to be way worse, I feel like. I'm not saying that she's going to die this season or that I want her to die, but if she does survive, it'll probably be by the skin of those massive dragon teeth she has. And might I say, they're mighty white. So the third episode of season 6 is called Frozen Ship. Now, this is the first episode title that we've talked about so far that it's kind of vague enough to the point where it's kind of hard to tell what could happen. Now, we have seen some clips from the teaser trailer that was released a couple weeks ago, which we reacted to and broke down on the channel, and I'll make sure to link that one at the end screen as well. That we've seen Callum and Rayla on some kind of crash ship that's on fire or whatever, so we know that they're going to be on some kind of shipwreck at some point this season, and it'll probably be in this episode. But beyond that, I can't tell you what this ship could signify or what importance it may have to the overall story. But let's start reaching for straws. But based on the breakdown that we did last week that I mentioned a second ago, I think this episode, Rayla and Callum, they come across a ship that's frozen in the ice, not far off from the Star Scraper, that contains some kind of information or some kind of artifact, clue, whatever. It contains something that they need for their journey. But whatever information, clue, artifact it could be, I don't know. And it could be information on Erebos. It could be something about the Celestial Elves. It could be something about something we have yet to hear about. Corona of the Heavens, or even the Merciful One, who we've only recently been officially introduced to in some form of media. And we don't know a whole lot about the Merciful One either. So, or it could even be something as simple as, like, the spell on how to free Count Rayla's parents and Runan from the cursed coins. Which, if that's what it is, I would love it, because then that could add a whole new element to Callum and Rayla's journey, because now they're like, oh, not only can we get the things we need to stop Erebos, but we can also get the things we need to help Teodrin, Lane, and Runan. So, hey, that'd be great. But is that what I think they're gonna find? Probably not. I mean, I'd love to be proven wrong. But hey, a guy can dream, but ultimately I don't think that's what they're gonna find, and I'm really unsure of what they are gonna find, or if they're even gonna find anything at all. This is a big mystery, and I cannot wait to see what the answer is going to be when the season releases. Okay, so the 4th episode in season 6 of The Dragon Prince is called The Star Scraper. And in this episode, I predict that Callum and Rayla encounter the Celestial Elves and arrive at the Star Scraper. Shocker, right? I think there's no doubt in anyone's mind that's what's happening in this episode. I mean, the title of the episode is literally Star Scraper, so I think that's pretty obvious. I don't know about you guys. But not only that, I do think that we'll maybe also see Callum and Rayla have some really interesting heart-to-heart conversations. Perhaps even hold hands, which I hear some of you might screaming that might be just wishful thinking. I mean, you guys are probably saying, Matt, it's too early in the season for them to be holding hands. But I want to slow it down for you guys a minute, because A, they held hands in season 5, and B, they might even hold hands before this episode even happens. So keep that in mind. And it looks like that's what they're doing in the release date announcement video, which we broke down last week. And I even talked about that in the video. So, like, we practically have irrefutable evidence that that's what they're gonna do. But again, that's just a theory. And I can hear you guys loud and clear. I hear you. It may very well be wishful thinking. But again, this is just a theory. We're just speculating here. And honestly, the one thing that I feel like isn't speculation is that Callum and Rayla are going to secure the Nova Blade and possibly even the Corona of the Heavens, which they could then use to A, kill Erebos if need be, or B, I guess I should say, free Rayla's parents and Runan from the cursed coins once and for all. Do I think it's all going to happen in that episode, or do I think that episode's going to set the stage for those things to eventually happen? I think this is the episode where that whole part of the story starts to unfold. Because like I said in my Trial of Callum and Rayla video, the Star not the Star Touch elves, the Celestial elves are not just going to hand those things over willy-nilly to anybody. Callum and Rayla have got to prove that they're worthy of those things and that their intentions are pure and good, So they're going to have to do something to get those, to get the Nova Blade and the Corona of the Heavens in their possession. How that's going to happen, I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see. So the 5th episode in Season 6 of The Dragon Prince is called Moonless Night. So this is essentially the halfway point of Season 6, and I'm really at a loss as to what may happen here. Again, it's a very vague title. It doesn't offer a lot of context, and based on the little amount of clips that we have gotten from Season 6 so far, I don't really have any idea what could happen here. For all I know, none of the footage that we've seen so far is from this episode, or a lot of the footage that we have seen is from this episode. I don't know. But as you guys saw in my breakdown last week, I theorized that Viren may somehow travel back to Catullus, or is taken back to Catullus by Pyra, and then who has been confirmed to return this season. How or why Viren gets back, if that's actually what ends up happening, I don't know. But all I do know is that Viren is going to be in this show, in this seasons, in some shape or form. So I think if he does get back to Catullus, it'll be in a very weakened state, perhaps even on the brink of death. I mean, we saw Viren in the release date announcement video that we broke down last week. So I have reason to believe that we'll see him impacting the main timeline of events for this season. In other words, I don't think he's dead. Which is going to come as a huge shock to Claudia, because she probably thinks he is. But I also think we're going to see some flashbacks, because given that Viren is wearing his old outfit from earlier seasons of the show, I think we're going to see some flashbacks to back when he was under the tutelage of Kapar, prior to the events of the show even taking place. Or perhaps it'll be like some kind of nightmare sequence that we saw him go through in Season 5. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. But either way, don't be too surprised if Viren shows up in this episode, because that's the only thing I can really think of happening in this episode. So just don't be fooled if he shows up. All right, episode 6 is called Moment of Truth. And by God, I don't get why they decided to put in so many vague episode titles for this season. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to say that this is cliche or anything like that, but it's just so vague. Like, this is just another episode that was just so tricky to figure out. Nah, I'm just kidding. This one was easy. Oh my God, I got you guys, didn't I? Alright, anyway, I'm going to stop gloating. Anyway, my theory is that in this episode, we find out that Callum and Rayla have officially gotten back together. Yes, you heard me right. And also, whether or not Zubea is going to survive. Two big pieces of information which are going to have drastic impacts on the rest of the series. And probably also Kareem restoring his eyesight. I forgot that I wrote that down. I'm kidding. I knew it was there the whole time. And also, he declares war on his sister, Queen Janai, and there's an all-out Sunfire Elf civil war that goes on. And I think that's where that starts. I mean, that's a lot for just one episode, but those aren't the only things that I think is going to happen. I think we're also going to find out a little bit more about Erebos' backstory a little bit as well. I mean, I don't want us to have like a massive information dump in the first episode. I think we're going to get nuggets kind of sprinkled throughout. And also we're going to get some more clarity on some of his crimes, if not all of them. And also kind of learn more about who the Merciful One is. So this is going to be an episode that's going to answer a lot of questions for the fandom, which, if that's going to be the case, I'm super excited. I mean, all in all, it's going to be a very interesting and action-packed episode, and I just cannot wait for it. So episode 7 is called The Red Wedding. And boy, oh boy, this is probably the hardest episode to come up with a theory for, in all honesty, because the title is very vague, and it doesn't hint at very much. However, I think there are two main possibilities that we need to look at here. Number one being is that I think this episode will give us a deeper and more thorough insight into what Erebos did to be imprisoned. And I know I've said that a lot, but to truth be told, we don't know pretty much anything about Erebos. All that we know is that he's not a very good person. And he's also incredibly powerful. And the other is that, and then number two thing that I want to talk about is, this is the episode where Sol Regum and Kareem's army launch their siege on Queen Janai and what remains of Luxoria, which I think is probably the more likely of the two. But I'm also kind of hesitant about that because I feel like this would just be a little too soon for something of that magnitude to happen this early in the season. So all in all, very unsure of what's going to happen here. It could be either of those things, or it could be something that I'm not even thinking of. Or this could be the episode where Kareem uses the Sun Seed to heal Sol Regum, which I think, out of all the ideas I have, is probably the most likely. So very, very exciting, because we just don't know. And that gets me so excited not knowing, because I'm like, I'm going to be so surprised when I finally sit down and watch the season for the first time. All right, episode 8 is called We All Fall Down. As if things couldn't possibly get more vague. Come on, Aaron Ehasz and Justin Richmond. Give me something to work with here. Out of all the episode titles this season, I am the most unsure about what could happen in this one. This is the penultimate episode of season 6. I mean, it could be anything from Kareem and Sol Regum launching their assault and getting a victory over Queen Janai and Amaya, or it could mean that Erebos finally escapes from his prison, or it could mean something else entirely. However, if I had to really reach and latch on to something, I think this is the episode where Claudia really starts to think about the things she's done and the lengths she's gone to, only to come up empty-handed and maybe even consider that she was wrong about everything, only to be tricked back into falling deeper into darkness by Erebos, still wrapped up in a well of lies and deceit, and she doesn't even know it, which we all know that's going to happen. She's going to remain, Erebos' little puppet throughout the rest of the series. And honestly, I think this could cost her life at some point. But I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say for sure that Claudia is going to die, but more than likely, if she doesn't die, then she's going to get locked up for good. Like, she's getting locked up for life. That's for damn sure. Episode 9, the finale of season 6, is called Stardust. And this is another one I predicted and got right. And finally, this is the episode where Erebos gets out of prison. He breaks out and announces his return to the world. No ifs or ands or buts about it. I mean, we just cannot wait until season 7 for him to actually get out. That just doesn't make any sense in my head. The tension has been building and building for this moment for years now, and to be honest, if he doesn't get out, I'm pretty sure the fandom is going to go on a riot. Like, no joke. I think the fandom will literally revolt. Okay, sorry for that tantrum. I don't know if that was necessary or not, but I'm kind of serious at the same time. Anyway, I just need to get that out of my system. But I don't think that's the only thing that's going to happen in the season 6 finale. Not even by a long shot. I think this is the episode where we finally get Rayla's parents and Runan freed from their cursed coins, and we get that big, happy reunion, and we get the Authority reunion. Reunion, sorry. I was trying to remember what their ship was called. And it'll be a super emotional moment. The whole fandom will be crying, etc., etc. Matter of fact, kind of gets me just thinking about it. All jokes aside, this is another thing that I've been predicting all the way back into season 4 when I first started making videos. And it has to happen in this episode. It must happen. I mean, man, I've just been getting so worked up today. It's just gotta happen. It has to. Aaron Eaz, Justin Richmond. If you don't do this in this episode, literally, I'm gonna lose my mind because I've been predicting this for like a year and a half now, and I need to be right at some point, people. Okay, I need to be right. Okay, I'm not a narcissist, people. Okay, don't click off my video, please. But to be honest, that kind of just shows you how much I care about this show. Probably a little too much, but hey, what can you do? All right, there you have it. That's all my theories for each and every episode of Season 6 of The Dragon Prince based off of their titles. Now, let me know what you thought of my theories down in the comments down below. And if you are watching this video after Season 6 has come out and you have watched Season 6, let me know down in the comments how accurate I was. You know, give me a rating, you know, whatever it is. And also, let me know what some of your theories are for Season 6 of The Dragon Prince, because I would very much like to hear them. I'm very intrigued what all of you other fans out there have to say about what could potentially happen in Season 6. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a massive like so that YouTube recommends this video to more and more people, and we can grow this massive fandom for the Dragon Prince. And also grow the audience here at Matt's Great World. I would very much appreciate it. And as always, be sure to hit the subscribe button if you're new here at the channel, because we post Dragon Prince videos all the time, and we do reactions, we do so many other things. We do reviews for albums, movies, you name it. We talk about literally anything and everything under the sun. And if that's the kind of vibe for you, then be sure to hit the subscribe button down below so that you never miss an upload. But I've taken up too much of your time. Thank you all so much for coming by today. And I'll see you all later this week with my Inside Out 2 movie review on Wednesday. And boy, oh boy, have I got a lot of fun things to say about that. But anyway, thank you all again so much for watching. And as always, stay safe, stay warm, stay happy. It's never goodbye. It's just till next time. See you later.